Three American cars that suddenly disappeared and no one knows why. The history of the American auto industry is full of innovation, competition, and sometimes total mystery. Over the years, certain cars have launched with high hopes, only to vanish from production without a trace. Some were killed by poor sales, others by strange circumstances. Here's a list of 12 American cars that suddenly disappeared, and no one knows why. Please support us and subscribe to our channel. It will take a couple of clicks. Thanks in advance. Number 3, 1963 to 1965, Mercury Marauder. The first-generation Mercury Marauder was Mercury's attempt to inject some muscle into its lineup during the horsepower wars of the early 1960s. Based on the full-size Monterey platform, the Marauder was basically a performance-tuned luxury cruiser, stuffed with big V8 power and a sleek fastback roofline designed to help in NASCAR competition. Despite these efforts, the Marauder struggled to stand out. It lived in the shadow of both Ford's popular Galaxy and the emerging muscle cars that were lighter, cheaper, and more youth-oriented. Production ended quietly by 1965, and the nameplate disappeared for decades. Big V8 power, equipped with engines like the 390 cubic inch and the legendary 427 cubic inch V8, the Marauder packed serious muscle for its time, with up to 425 horsepower in top configurations. The sleek, fastback design wasn't just for looks. It helped Mercury gain better aerodynamics for stock car racing. The Marauder blended sporty intentions with upscale Mercury appointments, plush interiors, stylish dashboards, and power accessories. The Marauder shared much with the Ford Galaxy, but offered Mercury's take on full-size performance and style. Not luxurious enough to woo buyers looking at high-end sedans, outshone by its Ford cousin, the Galaxy 500, which had a stronger performance image. Buyers were either going full luxury or full performance in this era. The Marauder's mix didn't capture strong loyalty from either camp. Compared to competitors, Marauder production was modest, just a few thousand units per year, which meant little impact on Mercury's overall sales. Mercury never fully committed to promoting the Marauder as a performance flagship. It seemed like an afterthought in brochures and showrooms. Today, Marauders from this era have a loyal fan base, especially among Ford full-size performance enthusiasts. The nameplate saw a revival in the early 2000s with the 2003 to 2004 Mercury Marauder, a V8-powered rear-wheel drive sedan that better embraced its muscle car image. Had Mercury leaned harder into the Marauder's performance potential, it might have stood alongside the GTO and Chevelle as an early muscle car legend. Number 2. 1965, Chevrolet Corvair. The Chevrolet Corvair was GM's bold answer to the influx of compact, European-inspired cars. It featured radical engineering for an American car at the time: an air-cooled, rear-mounted flat-six engine, fully independent suspension, and a unibody construction. Chevrolet wanted to offer something different from its more traditional models, and, at first, the Corvair gained attention for its innovation and sporty potential. But what started as a promising alternative to conventional American sedans quickly became one of the most controversial cars in U.S. automotive history. The Corvair Monza Spyder was one of the first turbocharged production cars in the U.S., offering impressive performance for a small car in the early 60s. Positioned to compete with imports like the Volkswagen Beetle and smaller domestic rivals, it was affordable and economical. Early Corvairs used a swing-axle rear suspension, which could lead to unpredictable handling, especially during sharp turns or emergency maneuvers. Underinflated front tires, as recommended by Chevrolet, made things worse, leading to dangerous oversteer. In 1965, Ralph Nader's book, Unsafe at Any Speed, took direct aim at the Corvair's safety flaws. He argued that GM prioritized cost savings over driver safety, particularly criticizing the suspension and handling dynamics. Following the book, public confidence in the Corvair nosedived. GM's ham-fisted response, including spying on Nader, only worsened the PR disaster. Ironically, Chevrolet's own Chevy 2, Nova, and later the Chevelle offered more conventional and safer, compact options, cannibalizing Corvair sales. Even though GM quietly improved the Corvair's suspension in 1965, with a completely redesigned, much safer system, the damage was done. Buyers had moved on. Enthusiasts appreciate the Corvair's quirky engineering, unique styling, and fun-to-drive nature, especially in the improved second-generation models. The Corvair remains a textbook example of how engineering risks, poor communication, and public relations failures can sink even the most innovative designs. In 1972, an independent study by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration concluded that the Corvair was no more unsafe than comparable cars of its time. But by then, it was far too late. The Corvair was a daring experiment for GM, packed with forward-thinking ideas and creative engineering. But early design flaws and a catastrophic public relations disaster condemned it to infamy. Unsafe at any speed became a label that stuck forever, and the Corvair was quietly discontinued in 1969, leaving behind a complex legacy of both innovation and caution. Number 1, 1958, Ford Edsel. When people think of legendary car failures, the Edsel is almost always at the top of the list. Ford had sky-high hopes for the Edsel, pouring millions into marketing, development, and production facilities. It was intended to slot perfectly between Ford and Mercury in Ford's brand hierarchy, targeting the mid-priced car market booming in the 1950s. But instead of success, the Edsel became a symbol of how bad timing, confused marketing, and off-putting design can doom even the most ambitious project. Ford spent over $250 million, equivalent to billions today, developing the Edsel brand, complete with a full lineup of models. Ford promised the Edsel would be the car of the future, offering advanced features and innovative design. Packed with technology, Teletouch push-button transmission in the steering wheel hub, powerful V8 engines, self-adjusting brakes, and advanced suspension. There were sedans, coupes, convertibles, and station wagons across 2 series: Ranger, Pacer, lower-priced, and Corsair, Citation, higher-end. The infamous horse collar or toilet seat vertical grille became an instant target of ridicule. Overall design felt bloated and overdone, even for the era's styling excesses. The Edsel debuted just as America was entering a recession in 1957–58. Consumers suddenly wanted smaller, more economical cars, not large, flashy ones. Ford's existing lineup, Ford, Mercury, Lincoln, already covered most price points. The Edsel had no clear niche and often competed directly with its own siblings. Edsels were built in multiple plants shared with other Ford products, leading to assembly issues and inconsistent quality. Cars arrived at dealerships with parts missing, and the complex Teletouch transmission, often malfunctioned Ford, created so much hype that expectations were impossible to meet. Worse, many ads were vague, leading consumers to wonder, what is an Edsel anyway? While marketed as an affordable, futuristic car, Edsels were often more expensive than comparable models from other brands. By November 1959, Ford announced the end of the Edsel program, and the last cars were sold as 1960 models. Edsel became shorthand for failure in business and product development circles. Ironically, Today, Edsels, especially convertibles and wagons, are rare, quirky collectors' cars. What once was a punchline is now prized for its historical significance. The Edsel is a masterclass in how hype, poor timing, confusing branding, and design missteps can doom a product. Despite its engineering merits, the Edsel simply didn't know what it wanted to be. Ford's grand experiment burned brightly and burned out even faster. Today, it serves as one of the most famous cautionary tales in automotive history.